Disclaimer: efforts have been made not to infringe with any copyright. If so, it may be brought to our notice for its acknowledgement in future editions. No part of this digital content be reproduced, stored, or distributed in any or by any means either on paper or electronic media unless authorized. Digital content for candidates with speech and hearing disability. Sector: Apparel, Made-ups and Home Furnishing. Subsector: Apparel. Occupation: Embroiderer. Reference ID: PWD AMH Q1001. Version 1.0. NSQF Level 4. Chapter 3: Embroidered Decorative Design using a combination of stitches and work styles. Unit 3.3: Make different types of edges, applique work and cut work. Hello friends, welcome to an exciting session on edges, applique and cut work. Key learning outcome: make different types of edges like hem stitch, scallop, lace and rolled hem. Carry out applique work, carry out cut work. Edge stitching. Hand embroidering, edge stitching around a design or pattern adds texture and provides a mix of color to make the hand embroidery. Stand out and bring out the design element in the embroidered product. Scallop stitch and its steps. The scallop stitch makes it easy to add patterns at the edge of the embroidery stitches. A single stitch looks like a smiling face. The steps to make a scallop stitch are: Number 1. Come up at point 1, then go down at point 2, leaving the thread loose. Number 2. Come up at point 3, catching the loop of thread. Number 3. Go down at point 4, but not the same hole. Hem stitch and its steps. Hem stitch adds a decorative edge to a drawn thread area and also bunches together the remaining threads. The steps for hem stitching are: Number 1. Bring the needle up in the fabric 2 threads down below the last empty line next to your satin stitch band or your rewoven edge. Number 2. Take the needle behind the 2 threads and out again to the front and pull the needle through. Number 3. Take the needle back behind the same 2 threads so that the working thread wraps around the 2 threads. Angle the needle down and bring it up into the fabric 2 threads down from the edge, positioning the needle for the next stitch. Number 4. Pull the needle through and tighten the stitch around the bunch of fabric threads. Number 5. Continue working the hem stitch towards the end of the band. Then run the needle and thread under the satin stitching at the end of the band to secure it. Rolled hem and its steps. The rolled hem is also known as orlo or prelow stitch. It is used to make edges for napkins and tablecloths and other utility items. The steps for making a rolled hem are: Number 1. Take the edge of the fabric between the index finger and thread. Squeeze and roll a little. Number 2. Enter the needle and let a couple of inches of the tail of the thread lay in the part that would be rolled up and take out with the needle about 2 ground threads into the roll. Walking from bottom to top direction, enter the needle into the withdrawn thread channel 4 ground threads up. From where the exit in the roll and skipping 4 ground threads. Number 3. The original exit position should be level with the exit position in withdrawn channel. Now enter the needle into the roll, keeping the same distance as before, about 2 ground threads. The needle goes between the roll and the fabric, meaning it never comes out on the front side when entering into the roll. Number 4. Do not pierce the ground fabric so that the stitch will be visible the front. Applique work and its steps. Applique work is the process of applying smaller pieces of fabric to a large piece of complementary color or texture. Before beginning the applique work, some preparatory work is required, like choose a background fabric and fabrics for your applique pieces. Create patterns for each shape that should be traced from the templates. Mostly blanket stitching is used in applique work, and the steps involved using blanket stitch are: Number 1. Prepare the piece you need to applique. Cut the piece to the size and shape you want. Leave the edges raw if the fabric doesn't fray too much or if it looks like as per the design. Number 2. Place the applique where it is required to be stitched on the main fabric. The stitching will happen from the front of the piece. Number 3. Run the needle down through both layers of fabric. Work this part a short distance from the edge of the applique. Number 4. Run the needle up through the base fabric. Try to get it at the edge of applique piece or just slightly underneath. Number 5. Catch the thread from the preceding stitch under the tip of the needle. Now pull the stitch tight and repeat. If you caught the thread from the previous stitch correctly, this stitch should hold a bit of thread along the edge of the applique. This is how an applique work looks like. Cut work and its tips. Cut work is an embroidery technique that feature embroidered design with spaces cut completely out of the fabric, usually linen. It can also be worked on cotton or cotton linen blends. It is used to decorate household items like table linens, fine hand towels, curtains, bed linens, and even clothing. This is how the finished piece looks like. The steps involved in cut work are: Number 1. Transfer the design on the fabric using transfer paper or hot iron or pouncing method. Number 2. Use reinforced stitch to stitch all around the traced design. Number 3. Work the bars exclusively on the surface of the fabric. Make 2 or 3 strands. The more strands, the thicker the bar. Number 4. Start filling the bars. When you come to the other end, secure it by intervening the embroidery floss into the neighboring stitches. Number 5. Now start cutting the fabric as per design. Be careful as to avoid cutting the bars. Number 6. Use the buttonhole or satin stitch to embroider the piece tucking the cut out piece underneath. Another method is to do all the needle work first and when finished do the cut work. But this requires lot of precision work. This is how the finished piece looks like. Thank you.